The 1960s. Man, what a time. It was a decade of change, from music to fashion to how we saw the world. And you know what played a big part in that? Television. Yep, the small screen in our living rooms brought big changes. It showed us new ideas and made us think about things differently. Before the 60s, TV was still finding its feet. But in this groovy decade, it exploded. Suddenly, everyone had one. Families would gather around to watch their favorite shows together. It was a shared experience, like a campfire for the modern age. This wasn't just about entertainment, it was about connection. We laughed together, cried together, and maybe even got a little scared together. TV was reflecting our lives back at us, but it was also shaping how we saw the world. Think of it as a two-way street, with ideas bouncing back and forth. Now let's talk about a true icon. I Love Lucy. This show wasn't just funny, it was groundbreaking. Lucille Ball, with her crazy antics and bright red hair, became a household name. But here's the thing, she was more than just a funny lady. Lucy was pushing boundaries. She was a woman in charge, dreaming big and going after what she wanted, even if it meant getting into hilarious scrapes along the way. This resonated with women at the time. They saw a bit of themselves in Lucy's ambition and her struggles.
Oh, Ricky, you got some splaining to do.
The show also tackled some tricky subjects like marriage and even pregnancy, which was pretty daring for the time. Remember, this was the 60s. People weren't as open about these things as they are now. But I Love Lucy made it okay to laugh at ourselves and our relationships. Now I know what you're thinking, commercials? Who wants to talk about commercials? But hold on a minute. Even the ads back then tell us a lot about the 60s. They were all about the American dream, shiny cars, perfect families, and a fridge stocked full of goodies. These commercials weren't just selling products, they were selling a lifestyle. They were telling us, hey, this could be you. And you know what? People bought into it. The 60s were a time of optimism and economic growth. It felt like anything was possible. And those commercials? They were selling a piece of that optimism. Section 4, The Twilight Zone, Exploring Our Fears. But it wasn't all sunshine and roses. The 60s were also a time of anxiety. The Cold War was looming, and people were worried about nuclear war and social change. And you know what show perfectly captured that sense of unease? The Twilight Zone.
This show, with its creepy music and twist endings, tapped into our deepest fears. It made us think about what it meant to be human in a world that was changing faster than ever before. Each episode was like a little morality play, exploring themes like prejudice, conformity, and the dangers of technology.
The Twilight Zone wasn't just entertainment, it was social commentary. It held a mirror up to society, forcing us to confront our biases and our fears. And you know what? It's still relevant today because those fears and anxieties, they're still with us. We're still grappling with the same questions about what it means to be human in a world that can feel pretty strange sometimes.
Know you've been a good friend.
Section 5, Tuning in Together, Radio, Soaps, and Community. Now let's not forget about radio. Sure, TV was the new kid on the block, but radio was still huge in the 60s. It was the soundtrack to our lives.
And the DJs? They were like our friends, spinning the latest tunes and keeping us company throughout the day.
And then there were the soap operas. These shows, with their dramatic storylines and over-the-top characters, were hugely popular. People would gather around their radios, eager to find out what was happening with their favorite characters.
Radio and TV in the 60s weren't just about entertainment, they were about community. They gave us something to talk about, something to share with our friends and neighbors. They brought us together in a way that feels almost quaint today. So, there you have it. The 1960s, a time of change, of hope, and a little bit of fear. And you know what? TV and radio were right there with us, reflecting our dreams, our fears, and everything in between.